The tornado has touched down.
You need to take shelter.
8 News track the danger to keep your family safe.
5 tornado warnings. Take cover immediately.
When the weather's at its worst, we're at our best. Storm Tracker 8.
You are watching extended wall-to-wall coverage of tornadoes striking central Virginia. This is speaks to your host. So you saw the flash there of lightning, and it might not. Look at the debris flying around the outside.
Look at debris.
This is John Goose who sent this in.
Okay.
Thanks, John.
Yep. Look at the debris flying right through there. Look at the roof.
Oh. Oh man.
And that.
All lanes are closed on Hull Street. Amy Simpson's joining us now too, sitting on the set. Oh my gosh. Oh.
Wow.
So this is where Nick Canigliaro is live right now.
We're actually just taking a look at the debris. We just had to seek shelter because, as you can see, there's still some funneling going on right now. But this is actually a part of a fence that came off over there, and then this is the part of a roof that came off of yard works right off of Hull Street Road. Now I'm going to step out of the way so you can actually see the damage done to that warehouse where there was the one confirmed fatality. Now you can see just broad devastation as that tornado just ripped through this area. Now I was driving on Courthouse Road at the time that tornado came through. I did pull over and I checked it out, and all I saw was just a bunch of debris just flying around everywhere, high winds going around, and it was just a dangerous situation.
I am out here on Decoy Lane and Tracker Drive in Chesterfield, where you can see behind me not one, not two, but multiple downed trees. I'm going to step out of the way so you can get a look at this damage out here. And this is the type of damage that you're seeing throughout Chesterfield. As we were driving through Genito and Hull Street, there's a large police presence dropping off the roads. But let's focus on this damage here in this neighborhood. You can see multiple trees uprooted, knocked over, completely split in half. I mean, this tornado ripped through here.
Breaking right now, we have exclusive video of a train crash in Chester. Take a look. You will not see video like this again today. A tractor trailer apparently stuck there on the tracks. A man running away from what? A train that plows right through the big rig. It barely slows down as it cuts that tractor trailer in half. You'll see it again there. And then once the truck's brake lines are cut, it begins to roll forward. There again, a man running away from that scene just seconds ahead of a train that crashes through a tractor trailer. This happened about 4:30 this afternoon. No word yet officially on injuries, but it appears that everyone's okay. 8 News reporter Sierra Fox is on her way to that scene. She'll bring us a live report on 8 News at 6.
Yes, Juan, I'm here in Chester where a train ran right into a tractor trailer just before 4:30 this afternoon. You can see emergency crews are out here right now blocking off the roads and further investigating exactly how this happened. But let's get straight to that exclusive dashcam video we received from a WRIC 8 News viewer. It shows the entire crash. You can see the 18-wheeler is stuck on the tracks. It seems to be stalling, and we're working to find out why. Then at least one person runs from the tractor trailer, and that's when the train blows right into the truck, and it essentially splits it in half and explodes.
We begin tonight with breaking news. Police chase a military vehicle for 2 hours along I-95, and it all comes to an end right here in downtown Richmond.
This is video from earlier tonight of that chase going right through the fan. The driver stopped near East Broad and 11th Streets, and that's where we find our 8 News reporter Sierra Fox. Sierra?
Juan, Christina, this is definitely not something you see every day. Take a look behind me. You can see an armored military vehicle. I'm going to step out of the way so you can get a better look. Virginia State Police chased down this vehicle, which they say belongs to the National Guard, from Fort Pickett, which is about an hour away, all the way here to Richmond on East Broad and 11th Street. The man that was driving the car is now in custody. Police tell me that he did surrender. He came out of his car, got on his knees, and after repeated commands, he was tased.
Now at 6, that wild chase caught on camera. An armored military vehicle stolen.
This is America in 2018, so what can shock us?
The Army National Guard lieutenant leading police down several major highways.
I just never thought something like that would happen here.
New details on the suspect, Joshua Yabbitt, his military service, and what he was doing during the chase. Plus, what could happen to him now.
8 News at 6 starts now.
We begin tonight with the latest on this crazy video. An Army National Guard lieutenant accused of stealing an armored truck and leading police on a chase. I'm Juan Condi.
I'm Christina Ferrick. Tonight we're learning more about the man police say was driving it. Take a look. This is Joshua Yabbitt. He's a Virginia Army National Guard soldier. Tonight he is charged with driving under the influence of drugs, eluding police, and unauthorized use of a vehicle.
The National Guard says just before 8 last night, Yabbitt's unit was training, and he stole that vehicle from Fort Pickett in Blackstone, driving east on Route 460, then leading police on a chase north up I-95. About 9:40, he stopped on East Broad Street at about 11th and got out. Police say he was uncooperative. They shot him with a taser and put him in custody. Now, what everyone wants to know is, who is Joshua Yabbitt?
We have live team coverage. 8 News reporter Kirk Nowatzki is in Richmond. We begin with 8 News reporter Gretchen Ross.
We continue to follow that breaking news from Albemarle County, where a train carrying GOP lawmakers to a retreat has crashed. Here is a live look at the scene right now. You can see a lot of emergency crews on scene. We are told an Amtrak truck struck a dump truck. Now, this happened in Crozet, that is just west of Charlottesville.
Begin with breaking news tonight. One person is dead after a train carrying Republican members of Congress crashes into a dump truck outside of Charlottesville. I'm Juan Condi.
And I'm Christina Ferrick. At least 6 other people were hurt in this crash, one of them in critical condition tonight. Let's take a look at the map. Members of Congress were heading from D.C. to White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia for a GOP retreat. The crash happened about halfway through the trip in Crozet. That's in Albemarle County.
We have team coverage tonight of what happened on the way to the Greenbrier Resort, but we begin with 8 News reporter Kirk Nowatzki, who's at the Amtrak station in Charlottesville. Kirk?
Yeah, the scene here was very hectic just a few short hours ago. I'm standing in the parking lot of the Amtrak station in Charlottesville, Virginia, where buses were circled around picking up passengers and police were not letting anyone in.
We're also learning more about the crossing where that crash happened.
8 News reporter Aaron Thomas continues our team coverage tonight, live from the scene in Crozet. Aaron?
Well, crews are spending the rest of the night working to find out what caused this Amtrak train carrying GOP lawmakers to hit this garbage truck. In fact, you can see most of this large area is blocked off. That garbage truck split in half, and most of this debris just spewed everywhere.
We want to start with Storm Track Rate reporter Kristen Smith, who has more on that crash that killed a Hanover firefighter. Kristen?
Amy, the men and women at Hanover Fire EMS say the pain is raw and overwhelming following the loss of one of their own, a well-liked firefighter killed on the job while out helping other people.
Lieutenant Brad Clark loved being a firefighter, a dangerous career that tragically turned deadly last night. Clark and other firefighters from Hanover Station 6 were responding to a crash on I-295 when a tractor-trailer driver plowed into the back of their fire truck.
We all know there was a lot of rain, roadways were wet, it could be a contributing factor.
Clark died at the scene. 3 other firefighters were rushed to the hospital, 2 of them still there tonight.
We bring you live team coverage of the memorial service going on right now in Caroline. Thousands from here in the area and across the country are honoring Lieutenant Clark. Our team coverage begins with 8 News reporter Kristen Smith, who's been at the service this afternoon. Kristen?
Juan, today we witnessed a beautiful and touching tribute to Lieutenant Clark. If you take a look at all of these fire trucks, you can see there was a huge turnout of firefighters from California to New York who all came here to pay their final tributes to a fallen hero. One of the survivors of last week's crash was here. He is still hospitalized, but convinced doctors to let him attend the memorial service so he could say goodbye to his fallen friend.
Juan, as Kristen just mentioned, the number of people that showed up here is astounding, easily above 1,000, including crews from New York and 1 firefighter from California, all to pay their respects for the fallen hero, Lieutenant Brad Clark.
Lieutenant Brad Clark was on the scene of a crash at I-295 when a tractor-trailer plowed right into his fire truck. 8 News reporter Kristen Smith joins us live from our digital center with what his loved ones want to share.
Constance, they want to share their gratitude for all of the people who offered comfort to help get the family through overwhelming grief. That includes Lieutenant Clark's widow, who's speaking tonight for the first time.
He's my best friend, and he's still with me. I feel him. So I cherish every memory that we have, and I'm blessed.
In her darkest days, Melanie Clark finds light in her husband's legacy.
His guys came first. His family came first. And he was the same man in the firehouse as when he walked through our front door. You only got one Brad, and I'm grateful that I'm his wife.
She's still grieving. All of Brad's family is. But they've received overwhelming comfort from their community.
There's just been so much love and support. This realization came to me that love conquers grief, and it does.
Thousands lifted up the Clark family at the fallen firefighters' memorial service, many sharing how the 43-year-old made a difference in their lives.
I guess we just didn't realize how big he was in everybody else's eyes.
We're grateful and thankful that God has blessed us with comfort in the midst of devastation, and we are trusting in Him to get us through the days and months and years ahead.
Lieutenant Clark's family says they're especially grateful for their Hanover Fire family. They want to direct the focus now on the 2 injured firefighters. One of them just went home from the hospital today.
How did all those tires pile up for so long?
Because I piled them up, all right? They're my tires.
That's 8 News investigator Carrie O'Brien confronting a man behind a tower of tires in Richmond. She catches up to him moments before he's supposed to be in court facing a felony charge for that eyesore.
Hi there, Carrie O'Brien with 8 News. So I see you're cleaning up the tires?
As you can see.
In what appears to be a last-minute Hail Mary to score points with the city and judge, 8 News spots Delvon DeVoe racing to load that tower of tires into a U-Haul just moments before his court appearance. Police say you were scamming people and scamming businesses. Were you?
Police say what they want to say.
What happened? Why were there 1,500 tires in your yard?
Because they're my tires.
But you know that's a health hazard and against the law, right?
Okay. Well.
DeVoe was arrested in February and charged with a felony for the stack of tires that spanned across the entire backyard of the Southside home he's renting. Richmond police say he was duping business owners, collecting their money and the tires, with the understanding he would properly dispose of them. So how do we know you're going to properly dispose of these now? You can't tell us where you're going to take them.
Virginia Recycling, where I'm supposed to take them. I don't know why are y'all coming now? I don't understand.
Because you're supposed to be in court in 30 minutes, facing a felony charge.
I know I'm supposed to be in 30 minutes. Man, bro.
Dirty and wet from the tires, DeVoe made it to the courthouse just in time. In court, we learned DeVoe's landlord picked up the tab for the cleanup and U-Hauls to truck the tires out.
As you can see, point the cameras over there, they're getting cleaned up. I don't like the way I was bashed on TV, saying I'm scamming people. So it's nothing really for me to say anything because everybody thinks I'm a scammer.
Because the cleanup is in progress, the city dismissed the felony charge. But the judge ruled that all of this has to be cleaned up within 30 days. And DeVoe has to stay out of trouble for the next 3 years. Otherwise, that felony charge could come back. In Richmond, Carrie O'Brien, 8 News.
8 News reporter Aaron Thomas is live tonight along I-95 for this story where it all unfolded. Aaron?
Juan, Christina, you can see behind me the I-95 ramp near Chamberlain Avenue exit is closed at this hour. This is where police say that naked man caused traffic headache. Now, they say that he was involved in a hit-and-run incident earlier, and this is where he was trying to get away, and that's when this situation took an unexpected turn. Lines of police vehicles block a ramp on Interstate 95 as Richmond police investigate an officer-involved shooting. An officer shot a naked man who witnesses say was running around during the evening commute.
All right, news reporter Sarah McCloskey is just back from police headquarters. She saw the body cam footage with the police chief today. Sarah?
Richmond's police chief went through with us step by step what happened leading up to and following the shooting that killed Marcus David Peters. He said that releasing this video is not meant to humiliate or cast a negative light on Peters or his family. Now, it is very graphic, and we edited this so you don't have to see the most graphic parts.
Unfortunately, life doesn't give us a rewind button.
Traffic and surveillance collected as part of the investigation shows where Marcus David Peters was on May 14th before the deadly shooting. He was driving his car to the Jefferson Hotel where he worked security part-time. Walking through the hotel, Peters takes off his clothes, then runs to the car naked. Next, we see the car crash into the tree line by the entrance of Interstate 95 after hitting 3 cars along the way. Officer Michael Niantaki has his weapon drawn, saying into the radio,
"Seems to be mentally unstable as we speak,"
and verbally tells the driver to stay in the car. Moments later, you see the driver get out of the car feet first. Peters was then hit when he ran into the traffic. The officer keeps his distance and switches to a taser. You can see Peters get up and start walking to the officer.
"Back the up! Put the taser down or I'll kill you. I'll deploy."
From the time Mr. Peters stood up and made his comment, it was all said and done in 18 seconds, ladies and gentlemen.
The taser is then discharged, but police say only one of the 2 prongs went into Peters, appearing to have no effect. Whether or not it administered a shock is still being investigated. Peters approaches and tries to get physical with the officer. 2 shots were fired into Peters' abdomen. More officers arrived on scene to give aid to Peters. The officer was then told to go back to his vehicle. In the press conference, the police chief says people should not pass judgment on the situation before we get all the facts.
And the first time, people want answers right then and there. I don't have answers. We want a fair and thorough investigation.
Now, the chief went on to point out that the officers get about 40 hours of mental health training, while medical professionals get 5 to 8 years. This investigation will be reviewed by the chief and then the Commonwealth attorney to see if use of force by the officer was justified.
Our stance has not changed. Marcus did not deserve to be killed. Marcus deserved help.
The family of a naked man shot and killed by police watched that tragedy today via the officer's body cam video. They say it was painful, but it helped them understand better what happened. 8 News reporter Kristen Smith is at police headquarters tonight with the story. Kristen?
Juan, it's hard to imagine someone wanting to watch their loved one's death, but the young man's sister says she had to suffer through it to learn more about what happened and why. And while that video did give her insight, she insists her brother didn't deserve to die.
I'm here to fulfill my promise to Marcus as we laid him to rest.
Marcus Peters' sister and uncle knew it would be gut-wrenching the moment they watched video from the body cam of a police officer who shot and killed their loved one.
I came here because in order for me to continue to fight, I need to get as many pieces of the puzzle as I can, and seeing exactly what took place is a huge part of it.
Breaking tonight, James Fields will spend the rest of his life in prison.
That's what a Charlottesville jury recommends tonight. Fields killed a woman and seriously hurt others while driving his car into a crowd at last year's Unite the Right rally. 8 News reporter Kristen Smith is live there outside the courthouse with reaction from victims tonight. Kristen?
Jurors leaned heavily on punishment for a crime that devastated this community. Not just life in prison for the murder of Heather Heyer, but hundreds of other years for the victims who are still struggling to overcome a tragedy that changed their lives forever.
Welcome to 8 News at 11. I'm Constance Jones. Well, we have several breaking news stories for you tonight. In Henrico County, an elderly woman gets trapped in a trash compactor. 8 News reporter Aaron Thomas was first on the scene. He joins us live with the details. Aaron.
Good evening, Constance. Well, emergency crews just left the scene just a few minutes ago. Fortunately, this elderly woman was rescued from the scene thanks to their bold efforts. Now, this was not easy. I want you to take a look at all this trash that's sitting out here tonight. These rescue crews had to dig their way through the trash compactor. Just imagine all this pressure and power crushing this elderly woman's legs. Our cameras were rolling as rescue crews carried her out and covered her up on a gurney. Emergency responders rescued her at about 9:30 tonight. Efforts took hours. You can see crews sorting through trash and bringing out all sorts of tools to set her free. Firefighters even tried cutting their way through the compactor. While on scene, we spoke with several people who live out here. They told me that this 71-year-old woman was trying to go after her keys that fell inside the compactor. Folks living here call this a bizarre situation. One man we spoke with said that he thought that there was a dumpster fire, and hearing about a woman whose legs got stuck is the last thing he expected to hear tonight.
Thought somebody was dead, to be honest with you, but when they said she was okay, everybody was relieved, so we didn't know what was going on, so we just heard the sirens and we all came out.
And thankfully, that elderly woman was rescued tonight. She was taken to VCU Medical Center to be examined for injuries. Reporting live in Henrico, Aaron Thomas, 8 News.
Virginians lined up in record numbers.
High voter turnout.
How will the results impact us here at home?
I will serve you as your representative.
Stay with 8 News, your local election headquarters.
Our reporters have been following House and Senate and local races all day long.
We did it! We did it!
Heroin, fentanyl, prescription drugs.
Every day is a danger because you're playing Russian roulette.
Your family, friends, co-workers, neighbors struggling with addiction.
They're just running from what they can't handle in life.
Addiction is a disease. Meet folks who've lost loved ones, those battling every day to stay clean, and those working to stop the epidemic. They're fighting the fix.
The growing opioid epidemic is wreaking havoc across the country, in the Commonwealth, and our community. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amy Lacey.
And I'm Carrie O'Brien. It's affecting thousands of people and their families. It could be impacting people you see every day.
This morning, Family Dollar's corporate office shut down both locations so it can deal with the huge rat infestations. According to the people who work here, the rodents have been a problem for a long time, but the situation was able to fester, partly because the state doesn't inspect these stores.
This is what's running rampant inside 2 Family Dollar stores. Rats. A former employee found this giant rodent underneath a store shelf during business hours.
Disgusting. Yeah, that's how I would describe that.
If you got rats in there, imagine what else you can have in there.
How about rat poop? Yesterday, we showed you the trail of feces inside the Family Dollar stores on Hull Street and Westover Hills. In aisles, on shelves, it was everywhere.
I knew something was wrong because there was a very strange stench as you enter the building.
This morning, customers turned away after Family Dollar's corporate office closed both stores for a brief period of time to completely resolve the issue.
Oh my gosh, that's the size of a puppy.
We shared the rat video with someone at the Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, the state agency that oversees grocery stores, but not Family Dollar stores. They're exempt because they only sell prepackaged food.
If that's all they sell, then they are exempt from the food laws in Virginia, which means that we do not inspect them unless there's a complaint.
Which could explain how this particular store was able to get into the situation that it's in right now.
Oh, I think that's exactly the explanation, because we are not in there.
Someone did ultimately complain about this location, and now both stores are closed until they can clear the rodents out. Family Dollar wouldn't tell me what that means for employees, but some of the people who work at this store say they've lost their jobs after braving through some nasty working conditions for the past year. In Richmond, Kristen Smith, 8 News.
A different kind of celebrity.
Russell Scott.
How you doing, sir? It's an honor to have you here. On the tarmac at the Richmond Executive Airport. A different kind of plane, too. A B-25, just like the one Russell Scott served on during World War II.
Now here's my pilot, the co-pilot, and the bombardier.
We first met Russell last fall when he told us about jumping 9,000 feet from that warplane after both engines were shot out.
I never had a bad time other than when I was in the prisoner of war camp. That wasn't too bad, but with a broken back, it was kind of bad.
He was just 24 at the time and never fully healed. Now walking with assistance because of that injury back in 1944.
25th of May, we were shot down.
Just shy of 74 years later, a B-25 shows up in Russell's hometown of Richmond, on its way to an air show in Virginia Beach. Russell rolling onto the tarmac, giving everybody around him the impression he was just visiting the refurbished bomber.
How old were you the last time you flew in one of these planes?
24.
Okay, and how old are you now?
98.
Wow, amazing.
Russell says they've tried to get him back in a B-25 twice.
I haven't been inside one since I've come out of it.
He's sharp as a tack, though his body doesn't move as freely as it did when he sat in that tail gunner position.
And what kind of gun was here that you were in charge of?
Caliber 50 machine guns, 2 of them.
But on this day, something was different.
I don't think I need a step ladder because I think I can.
Okay, sir.
I think I can hit that first step.
As we went over our pre-flight instructions, Russell started climbing the ladder all on his own.
No, we need somebody up there.
I'm always determined.
Once he was inside the plane, he wasn't coming back out.
I could get in the plane easy then. Didn't have to worry.
The air was thick and hot. No air conditioning, just the smell of engines.
How you feeling?
I'm okay.
There's no way to know what was going through Russell's head during takeoff. Just a simple wave before a 20-minute flight over the city of Richmond.
I just feel like that I wanted to be back in the B-25.
The look on his face saying it all. This vet was at home, away from home.
We were in Corsica. We were stationed in Corsica.
Inside his plane for the first time in 7 decades.
There you go.
I'm down.
Welcome back to Earth. Good job. I was up front.
Back on solid ground, this time no parachute required.
I enjoyed being there. It felt like I was 24 years old again. Now, I've had my last ride in a B-25.
Now, I went and asked Russell in person a few days before this if he'd ride on the plane with me. He said he wasn't sure if he'd physically be able to get on board. But then after we landed, I thanked him for coming. He told me he wasn't going to let me down. And that just tells you what kind of guy he is. He was incredible. We thank him for his service. I can't say enough.
Absolutely. What a special friendship you two now have. Have you spoken with him since that big day of flying?
I haven't spoken with him, but I'm told that he does have a watch party this evening. So hi to Russell and everybody out there.
Absolutely.
Well, he's got fans at home and certainly fans here at 8 News as well.
Of course.
Thank you very much, Amy.
Happening now, Central Virginia underwater. Neighborhoods flooded, roads washed away, drivers trapped.
This is going to be a problem for folks.
The river levels rising. Our storm tracker 8 crews are all over the area with what you need to know to stay safe. Live team coverage starts now.
Take a look. This place is underwater. We are at the Tuckahoe Village Rec Association, standing in the parking lot, but the tennis courts and the pool are flooded beyond belief. The water is so deep. Look at this video. The water is so deep. You can't even tell that there's a pool there, but you can tell there is one underneath because of the diving boards and the pool ladders completely submerged. Water also flooded the building. The pool manager says when he went inside to check it out, their freezers were floating and still running. It's like a kick in the head, he says, because he just spent the last 3 weeks getting everything cleaned up for the season.
Nobody's going to be traveling on Greenwood Road anytime soon. Just to give you an idea of how bad the erosion is, I was able to pull this chunk of road straight out of the ground with ease.
Our top story tonight, strong winds hit Central Virginia, knocking down trees and power around the area.
This is video of just some of the damage. Several people have been killed and injured around the Commonwealth today. Thanks for joining us for 8 News at 5. I'm Amy Lacey.
I'm Juan Condi. Right now, nearly 500,000 people are without power in the Commonwealth, including folks here in Highland Springs, where, as you can see, this tree fell earlier today.
We have live team coverage of the damage around the area. In Chesterfield, a 6-year-old boy is dead after a tree fell on his family's home. This happened around 2 a.m.
On Cliffside Drive, let's show you a picture of the little boy here. Anthony Hamilton. He was sleeping when all this happened.
Our 8 News reporter Kristen Smith spoke with the family today. She joins us live with those details. Kristen?
Well, as a parent, this is a difficult story to tell because you think your little ones are safe at home. But in this case, the strong winds and a massive tree just became unpredictable. That little boy was sleeping in his bed in the top bunk of his bunk bed in his bedroom when a tree came crashing down and landed on the sleeping 6-year-old.
7 children sleeping soundly in this home when this massive tree crashed through their bedroom window. This evening, the parents are recalling the terrifying moments of thinking their children were dead.
Everything crashed. All my kids are stuck. I couldn't get to them.
To their horror, Lance and Christy Anderson woke up to their children, ages 3 to 17, screaming for help.
He just kept screaming that he couldn't move.
Trapped after this tree uprooted and toppled onto this house from nor'easter winds.
I just ran to the end of the hall to find my daughters, and there wasn't nothing but tree and outside, and I panicked. I couldn't do anything, and then the firefighters wouldn't let me get inside.
Hanover County Fire and EMS rescued 4 of their kids trapped in this room, one sandwiched between bunk beds.
They didn't have faith, and I was asking them where she was, and they said that they couldn't hear her and they had to turn off lights and stuff to try and find her.
After almost 2 hours, all the children were rescued with just bruises and scratches, thankful to be alive. Emotionally returning to bikes scattered, toys broken, and memories lost. Now they're salvaging what's left of a place they once called home, grabbing clothes and pictures. With nowhere to go, this family is temporarily staying in a hotel, trying to figure out how to make sense of this.
I'm gonna find another home for me.
After Madison Scott's court hearing for driving on a suspended license, the first thing he did was get back behind the wheel.
Your license is suspended for the 8th time, but you're behind the wheel of a car. What's up with that?
I'm not. What you putting this on the news?
We're doing a story on people who aren't supposed to be driving. You're one of them.
He's one of nearly 1 million people across the Commonwealth driving illegally.
And I'm about to meet my girlfriend, and she about to drive for me.
But you're not supposed to drive at all.
Yeah, but she about to drive for me.
But you're not supposed to drive at all.
According to a study by the Legal Aid Justice Center, approximately 1 in 6 drivers on Virginia's roads have had their licenses suspended because they didn't pay court costs. Thousands more are driving with no license at all.
It's just devastating.
Arden Bourgeois says his stepmother was killed not even 3 months ago by someone who shouldn't have been driving.
And she was cutting some shrubs, and then all of a sudden she was underneath the car.
Paige Bourgeois, a wife, mother, and grandmother, was working in the yard at this home on Parham when she was hit by an unlicensed driver. Police say Osmira Mendez Urdaneta fell asleep at the wheel and ran off the road.
Somebody that that was clearly breaking the law, who had no right really to be in the vehicle driving, and yet, they just took the life of somebody that was so full of life.
Bourgeois, who was 59, died 2 weeks later.
It's staggering how many cases of people who really shouldn't be driving are driving.
Rob Cirillo is the special prosecutor trying the case against the woman accused of killing Bourgeois.
There has to be some punishment. We have to get the message across that you can't drive without a driver's license.
He says people driving on suspended licenses often get caught over and over again. 7 times for this man, who even had to go to jail for getting behind the wheel.
So I have to take the risk of driving every day to work. I mean, I have a wife, stay-at-home mom, and I support my whole family, and I just have to drive.
If you are driving on a suspended license because of court costs, that doesn't mean you're a bad driver. If you're driving without a driver's license, we have no way to tell if you're a good driver or a bad driver because, frankly, you've never been tested before by the state.
Investigators aren't sure if Mendez Urdaneta has ever been licensed to drive. But according to court records, she's been on the road illegally in the Richmond area since 2003. Mendez Urdaneta is now charged with involuntary manslaughter for the death of Paige Bourgeois. Problem is, Police can't find her.
She doesn't live here anymore?
No.
Isn't that your wife?
Yeah, my wife.
Where does she live?
I don't know.
Her husband tells us she left 2 weeks ago, which means for this family, finding closure is now linked to finding the woman who killed their beloved Paige.
It's not that we lost just a loved one, but it's affected everybody in our family. Nothing's going to bring her back. So no, I don't think you get justice.
Kristen Smith, 8 News.
This is such an exciting day right here at 8 News with Make-A-Wish Greater Virginia. We are raising enough miles, hopefully, and even more, to send 25 children who are still waiting for their wishes, and there's a travel component to it. We want to send them on the dream trips of their lives.
Hey, Morgan and Katie, I made myself a little friend. This is Melvin here at the Richmond Animal League, but this is all throughout this morning. Our 8 News crews are going to be spread out all throughout RVA in order to help our community. Now, we're going to be from here at the Richmond Animal League to the James River to even helping out with Project Homes. Again, just to help out our viewers and these little cute guys right here.
Today, the 8 News squad volunteered across the Richmond area for Nexstar Founders Day of Caring. As part of giving back, employees volunteered to make improvements here at the home of Sadie Alexander. She was brutally attacked and stabbed multiple times at her home in Henrico County. Police have arrested 18-year-old Calvin White, and he's facing several charges, including malicious wounding in that case. Let's take a look at some of the improvements we made for Sadie.
The message behind Nexstar's Founders Day is involving the television station with the community directly, and there's no better way of doing that than being out here and helping serve our community and interacting one-on-one and doing whatever they need us to help better their lives.
Just kind of tidying up the backyard of Miss Sadie Alexander, who was the victim of an awful stabbing attack. And we have a bunch of volunteers out here, and we're just, tidying up the backyard and making it look nice for Miss Alexander when she comes home today from work.
Just so excited just to have her house cleaned up and just to have everything done and taken care of.
The reaction from the community, specifically Vicki, was tearing up just about the entire situation that happened here inside this house and how much it means to her and the homeowner that the 8 News team is out here helping out and cleaning up her home.
She's just really excited to be able to return home and not be in fear anymore.
New on 8 News at 5. We're following destruction from yesterday's tornado.
One of my friends' husbands got killed in this yesterday.
Bringing you live team coverage. Students at Central Virginia schools were forced to take cover. Some buses were turned around.
Yesterday was the scariest thing I've ever been through.
We'll have more on the tense moments in those halls. And do you know how to spot a fake storm picture? We'll show you how to separate the phonies from what's real.
8 News starts now.
Good evening, I'm Juan Condi. Thanks for joining us. We're following the destruction left behind by tornadoes yesterday afternoon and yesterday evening. Let's show you yesterday afternoon at the Old Dominion Floor Company on Speaks Drive. One person died here on the scene in that severe weather. And we've just learned that man's identity, the gentleman killed when the tornado hit in Chesterfield County. Ronald Bishop, according to authorities, who died when the building he was in collapsed as the tornado moved through his area. Here's a look at just how many tornadoes touched down yesterday. We've just confirmed 6 hitting Virginia, 5 of them here in our area, the 6th out in Mecklenburg. You can see here on the map, 2 of those were in Chesterfield County. We tracked this system most of the day yesterday on 8 News, and tonight we bring you live team coverage, beginning with Storm Tracker 8 Chief Meteorologist John Bernier, who's going to look at our forecast.
Well, finally, the last gasp of Florence exiting to the east of us. These are showers, the final burst of energy associated with the storm. They looked kind of nasty out there, had some heavy downpours, but they have behaved well this afternoon, are swiftly moving to the east and southeast of the area, headed on out of the way. In fact, they extend from just east of West Point, now down to just north of Sussex itself, moving away from the area. That's finally our chance to say good riddance to what's left of Florence and all the issues that it has caused. All right, outside right now, temperatures are in the mid-70s over us here because of those showers. Low to mid-80s back to the west, so we'll actually see the temperatures bump up a little bit over the next couple of hours. What will happen early this evening, these showers that are lined up here right now, sliding on out of the way, maybe right at the tail end. There could be 1 or 2 quick sprinkles, but look at the clearing skies taking over. It is a forecast that is back to some sunshine and much calmer weather over the next several days. We'll tell you all about it coming up.
Thank you, JB. As we mentioned, one man was killed yesterday when a tornado hit the Old Dominion Floor Company. That's on Speaks Road. Storm Tracker 8 reporter Kirk Nowatzki is live there in Chesterfield on Speaks Road with the latest on damage at that location. Kirk?
That's right. Good evening, Juan. So this building that used to stand was in this location behind me, and just only parts of it are actually still up right now. The rest of it is destroyed. Employees here trying to move on and remember, of course, what happened yesterday as they continue to move things forward. Now, we want to show you some amazing video once again from what happened out here yesterday. A viewer sent us from across Hull Street. You can actually see the roof from the building just flying through the air, debris spreading everywhere and carrying down the road. Aerial views show the extent of the damage done. One man was killed, as we mentioned, his name, Ronald Bishop, at the Old Dominion Floor Company. I actually caught up with a woman outside of the building today who actually knew his family.
One of my friend's husbands got killed in this yesterday, and so that brings a lot of light to it. I don't know the particulars. I mean, you know, the guys were inside working, and he apparently got crushed.
Now, employees from the company were actually out here earlier today, and you can just tell by looking at them, they're in complete shock and mourning about yesterday's events. But of course, this isn't the only place right around this area that experienced damage. Across Hull Street, we'll actually hear from some business owners coming up at 5:30 who may have to go without opening their doors for another month. Reporting live in Chesterfield, I'm Kirk Nowatzki, 8 News.
Thank you, Kirk. The Hunter's Landing neighborhood off Genito Road is still recovering after yesterday's storms. Pictures here of some damaged trees down on that roof. We're going to find Storm Tracker 8 reporter Gretchen Ross on the scene. She had a chance to catch up with folks who are assessing damage for themselves. Gretchen?
That's right, Juan. Good evening. Actually, in the backyard of Wric's home. He was a neighbor who got pretty neighborhood.
All right. Gretchen trying to tell us she was there at the home of a man named Ray Coffey, who says crews are starting to make progress on cleaning up debris and damage at his place. It's on Poacher's Run. He says that storm hit his neighborhood with a powerful punch.
When I got home, first thing I saw was my tree kind of split down the middle. Thank God it was laying over here and not towards the house.
Split down the middle. The tree in Tamika Claiborne's front yard, a reminder of the power of yesterday's storm.
Very blessed that it wasn't a lot worse, that, you know, it didn't land on any vehicles.
While Tamika's home was spared, a few of her neighbors' houses weren't so lucky. Along Poacher's Run, you can see a tree cracked, landing on this roof. Right next door, another tree finds a new resting place on top of this house. While his home remains intact, Ray Coffey's backyard is a mess.
There's my shed. You know, it's what, about a 10 by 10, I think. It was pretty tall, but now it's only about 3 feet tall, right? I can only see a couple of my shovels and things, but all the rest is hidden. I can't even get to it.
The backyard covered in trees, the fence ripped apart.
Chesterfield got upset that Florence skipped us, so it decided to throw us a curveball, quite literally.
Across the street, Coffey's neighbor Sandra Kistner will need a new roof, but is thankful the subdivision is sticking together.
We were all out here just talking to each other and encouraging each other, and we're helping each other as far as picking up debris is concerned.
That was Gretchen Ross reporting. Neighbors tell her it's going to take several days, perhaps even weeks, to clear out all the trees there and to make repairs. They also say that's part of being a homeowner. That was Gretchen Ross again in Chesterfield. You're looking at pictures now from children sheltering in place in area schools. This was the scene in dozens or more of our schools yesterday. Kids hunkered down in those hallways. Storm Tracker 8 reporter Kristen Smith is joining us now from our digital center with the latest on how school districts tried to protect the kids. Kristen?
Juan, the pictures really tell the story. All of the tornado drills students practiced time and time again got real yesterday when ugly weather roared through our area. The scene inside J.B. Watkins Elementary was textbook. Students on their knees, heads covered.
It was just a scary situation. Yesterday was the scariest thing I've ever been through.
Chesterfield mom Julia Greenaway was nervous because she wasn't there to protect her two girls, Carrie and Olivia. One was at Alberta Smith Elementary, the other at Spring Run.
I was getting emails from the principals telling me they were in the hallways, hover down, the kids were fine, but do not come there trying to get the kids.
In Chesterfield, some students were already on buses on their way home when the tornado warnings were issued. The district ordered drivers back to the schools so everyone could take cover.
We were on the bus. They told us to get off. We had to duck our heads, then we had to get back up, then duck our heads again, then get back up. It was very scary, and it was not uncomfortable at all.
But in Henrico County, one mom snapped this image of a child being dropped off at a bus stop while a tornado warning loomed overhead. The district admits there was miscommunication with drivers at a couple of schools. Those buses should have either returned to school or sought shelter at the nearest school, explains district spokesperson Andy Jenks. We're conducting intensive discussions to learn from yesterday's events and improve our planning and communications for the future. Overall, most Henrico parents I spoke with were very happy with the way the district took care of students. Same thing in places like Powhatan, Nottoway, and Amelia. Parents applauding teachers and staff for keeping their children safe. From the Digital Center, Kristen Smith, 8 News.
Thank you, Kristen. State troopers tell 8 News a Louisa County man drowned overnight when his truck was swept away by floodwaters. The Louisa County Sheriff's Office says Richard Keel Jr. called his wife saying he was in a sinkhole on Rock Quarry Road. Officers found his Toyota Tacoma about 100 to 200 feet off the road. Investigators think the man tried to cross Rock Quarry Road and was overtaken by the water. State police are still investigating. After natural disasters, you'll often find photos or videos shared online that look too dramatic to be true. And an example of that is the picture you see here, which appears to show a funnel cloud over Cosby High School. Storm Tracker 8 meteorologist Matt DiNardo has more on how you can tell pictures like these are fakes.
But this tornado, that's something you see in the Midwest. It's called a stovepipe tornado. We don't get those here. Somebody nicely photoshopped that in cleanly in the picture of that shot from Cosby.
You can find Matt's full video and more information on how to spot a phony photo on our website. Just go to WRIC.com. The damage from yesterday's tornadoes spread across central Virginia. 8 News reporter Nick Conigliaro caught up with Richmond's Mayor LeVar Stoney and residents in a Richmond neighborhood. He's there live now with the latest for us. Nick.
Well, Mayor Stoney had a lot to say while he went through the neighborhoods here by Claremont Avenue, but his overall just reaction was shock at the sheer damage that he saw when he got here and just a gratefulness that a lot of people weren't hurt here in Richmond. And the mayor went around this neighborhood here in Claremont, then about a street away on Nottoway Avenue, where he spoke with people about how the city can help them. And he also took a look at the absurd amount of damage that happened in this area. You could see trees, branches, and even power lines down on houses and cars. They were all knocked down by that tornado, but now it's time for the cleanup efforts to begin. Crews have been here all day, and Mayor Stoney says the city is here to help. I also spoke with one man who tells me it was actually really calm here before the wind started to pick up and things got nasty. Then he started to get a little more worried about his neighbors.
The wind picked up. I went to the bathroom, sat on the floor, and just kind of waited for it to pass. And I was more concerned about my neighbor upstairs because if the house had gone, he would have gone with it.
Mayor Stoney also wanted people to realize because the river is above flood stage right now, it is not safe, and he's basically advising everyone that it is closed and they should not go over to it. I have more later on at 6 o'clock, but right now live in Richmond, Nick Conigliaro, 8 News.
Still ahead tonight on 8 News, in addition to weather coverage, new data on vaping that shows middle and high school students are using those e-cigs in a shocking way you may not expect. We'll have an 8 News health alert. New at 5 tonight, Richmond police are identifying a man who killed in a shooting yesterday on Mechanicsville Turnpike. It happened at a convenience store at the intersection of Mechanicsville Turnpike and Carver Street yesterday. Police say Joshua Gray pronounced dead there at the scene. Detectives think he was shot at the intersection and then ran into that convenience store where he died. Here's an 8 News crime alert. Richmond police say 2 men using stolen credit card information from more than 200 people around the area are hitting a lot of stores. The 2 men you see here have made off with $75,000 in purchases using that phony and stolen information. If you recognize who these men are, call Richmond police. John?
All right, we've got a little bit of minor to moderate flooding on some of the area rivers here. The James River at West Ham, it's about almost 2 feet above flood stage right now. Going to go up about another foot more. Minor issues with this. Biggest issue, river's going to be closed for recreation for a few days. Well, look at the forecast. It's got sunshine back in it. Coming up next.
Welcome back. Hurricane Florence could have an impact on Virginia school calendars. State school leaders are urging schools to try to make up lost time from canceled classes over the last few days. Virginia law requires schools to have 180 teaching days or 990 instructional hours. Schools will be able to apply for waivers, but leaders want them to make up that lost time, or to try to anyway, before making any such request.
The most accurate forecast in Central Virginia. Now, your Storm Tracker 8 weather.
And we have Storm Tracker 8 Chief Meteorologist John Bernier in now. JB, after yesterday's crazy evening, what can we expect tonight?
Well, finally, we're winding everything down from the direct influences of Florence. We're still going to have some issues with some flooding on some of the area rivers. It'll take a couple days to clean up, but now it's onward and upward to what's going to be some much better weather over the next few days. Right now, where it's rained, we are in the middle 70s here over the area, warmer back to the west. These are where the showers have been over us late this afternoon. Little squalls kind of pushing through here. You see down to our east, that's where the heaviest rainfall is, down east of Petersburg and up headed towards the Kilmarnock area. Widen the view out a little bit, and everything's quiet back off to the west. So you can see how this line of showers all the way from New England and what's left of Florence is now exited to the east of Maine, swinging down over us. And it's swinging a boundary through over us here. You can just kind of put the line right here. It's just about where it is right now. And look at all the fair skies back to the west of it. That is what is coming your way for the next several days. A nice, pleasant respite from all this horrible weather we've had to deal with over the past few days. So for tonight, once the clouds break up, move on out of the way, we're going to see temperatures becoming rather pleasant. Down to the middle 60s for many of you. Going to be a pretty good dew and some fog on the grass early tomorrow morning. So we chase away the showers that are to the east of us right now. They exit by 8 p.m., get breaks in the clouds, 73 degrees for you, as you can see, at about 10 o'clock. And then overnight, we're going to drop down about 66, get a little fog early in the morning in a few spots. Then tomorrow, some sunshine in the morning, mainly sunny morning, mostly sunny afternoon, warm but less humid over, so it's going to feel very pleasant as temperatures, as you can see, climbing up into the middle 80s, 86 to 87. Very popular over the area. So here's a nice looking weather map to look at over the region for you tomorrow morning. Nice and fair skies over us starting in the day. Again, mostly sunny skies at noon through the evening hours. I'm not worried about anything popping up to the west of us. Just a few clouds coming by as we head into Thursday. Thursday, another day that's going to be mostly sunny. And Thursday will be pleasantly mild, warming up to about 85 degrees. In fact, we're warm for the remainder of the work week here, all the way through Friday, but then into the weekend, maybe some showers and storms. They look kind of isolated right now, but could affect the race over the weekend. And then as we head into early next week, a showery pattern setting up across central Virginia.
Thank you, John. For all the unusual things that happened yesterday, get this. A middle school student got the shock of his life, struck by lightning out in Charlotte County. Maurice Hurt injured in art class while washing his hands at a sink. The school immediately called an ambulance for him. He was rushed to a hospital in Farmville.
I'm just grateful. I had an angel watching over top of me.
I'm truly blessed. I don't know what I would do without him. He's my world. He was my miracle baby.
Hurt released from the hospital the same day. Doctors told him he'd have to skip playing sports for a few days. Here's an 8 News health alert. A new study finds that 1 in every 11 middle school or high school students are using, or have used, we should say, marijuana products in a vape or e-cigarette. That report from the 2016 National Tobacco Survey, 20,000 students were polled. This comes after the head of the FDA demanded an e-cigarette manufacturers display how they plan to keep their products away from kids in the next 2 months. A dramatic rescue is caught on camera tonight. See how one man made sure his dog was safe in Hurricane Florence. Take a look at this body cam video from the Coast Guard in Wilmington, North Carolina. A man being saved from Hurricane Florence floodwaters. But check out what's right up against his chest. Yes, he was sure to save the dog that was down there with him as he was hoisted to safety. Just one of the many images of people really caring when things got rough yesterday and across the weekend. Singer Amos Lee is bringing his hit show to Central Virginia. He'll be at Innsbruck after hours on Thursday. The Richmond Pavilion performance includes songs from his new album, My New Moon. Early bird tickets are available now. Entry at the door is $31. In Henrico, you can hear the new superintendent's plans to change your child's learning experience. Amy Cashwell is holding a town hall tomorrow night. She'll talk about safety procedures, academic growth, and the county's new learning model. That'll be from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. tomorrow night, Wednesday, at Short Pump Middle School. In Louisa County, tourism is on the rise. A lot. A new report from the U.S. Travel Association shows Louisa had the largest increase in travel here in the Commonwealth last year. Tourism there generated nearly $81 million for Louisa County and supported about 850 jobs. That report says new hotels and restaurants and events contributed to the rise in tourism. Here's a look at your primetime lineup on ABC 8. It all starts at 8 with Fresh Off the Boat. That's followed by Speechless at 8:30, Blackish at 9, Splitting Up Together at 9:30, and then an hour of Castaways at 10. After that, join us for the news where you live at 11. Coming up on 8 News at 5:30, we'll take a closer look at tornado damage in Chesterfield. Plus, Speaks Drive, where things turned deadly yesterday. Plus, people reacted instantly to the twisters. Hear one man describe the moments when a tornado went over his job. Plus, baby walkers could be putting your child in grave danger, so much so that researchers are now working to have them banned. We'll have some shocking data for you coming up.